All right, so if you're getting into Python, you've probably had this exact moment. You write a function, you think it's all good to go, and then it just breaks. It's super frustrating, I know. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the most common function errors so you can spend way less time being frustrated and way more time actually building cool stuff.
I mean, you've been there, right? You've spent all this time writing what you think is perfect code, you hit that run button expecting some magic to happen, and bam, a screen full of red error messages. It can feel totally random, but I promise you it is not. There are rules to this game, and we're about to crack the code.
Okay, let's dive right into our big mystery for today. On the left, we've got code that works perfectly. It draws a nice little circled number. Simple enough. But then, look at the code on the right. It looks almost identical, but this one crashes the whole program. So what is the tiny, crucial difference that's causing all the trouble?
To solve this puzzle, you've got to understand that functions aren't some kind of black magic. They're more like a recipe, and they follow a really strict set of rules. The two biggest rules you need to know involve these two words: parameters and arguments. Seriously, if you get these two down, you've pretty much mastered functions.
First up, let's talk about parameters. The easiest way to think about a parameter is that it's the shopping list for your function. When you first create a function, you're telling it, hey, to do your job, you're going to need these things. It's basically a placeholder, like a blank space on a form, just waiting for you to fill it in.
And that brings us right to arguments. So, if the parameter is the shopping list, the argument is the actual item you grab off the shelf and put in your cart. It's the real info, the number 99, the string yellow, that you actually hand over to the function when you tell it to run. The whole secret here is making sure the items you bring, the arguments, match what was on the list, the parameters.
All right, time to put on our detective hats. Let's investigate our first case. This is a classic. You're going to see it all the time. I call it the missing argument. This is probably the #1 reason your function calls will fail when you're just starting out.
Okay, so here's our first big clue. The function definition. That's our shopping list, remember? It clearly asks for two things: a number and a color. But now look over at how we actually called the function. We only gave it one thing. We gave it the number 99, but we totally spaced on giving it a color. And check out what happens. Python doesn't just give up. It actually gives you a massive clue. Now, this type error might look a little scary at first, but just read it. It's literally telling you, hey, you're missing one required argument, and by the way, it's the one named color. How cool is that? Python is actually trying to help us out.
So, the first rule is just that simple. The number of arguments you give the function has to match the number of parameters it's expecting. 1 for 1, case closed.
Okay, let's move on to case number 2. This one's a little bit sneakier. I like to call it mistaken identity. So what happens when you give it the right number of arguments, but you get them mixed up?
Take a look at this. This time, we were smart. We gave the function two arguments, yellow and 99. So we followed the rule from our last case, right? Two parameters, two arguments. We should be good to go. But the function is still going to crash. What's going on now?
So here's what's happening inside Python's brain, so to speak. By default, it's just matching things up based on their position, their order. So the first parameter, number, gets the first argument we gave it, which is the word yellow. And the second parameter, color, gets the second argument, the number 99. It's literally trying to use yellow as a number.
And yeah, that is just silly. But Python has no way of knowing our intention. It's a computer program. It's just following our instructions exactly as we wrote them, even if they're totally backwards. This is a super easy mistake to make, so don't feel bad about it. It's just part of learning how this stuff works.
So the final error you see might be something about, 99 not being a valid color. But that's just a symptom. That's not the real problem. The root cause, the thing we actually need to fix, is way simpler. Our arguments were just in the wrong order.
Okay, on to our final and maybe the most mysterious case of all, the silent treatment. This is what happens when you've got a function that doesn't even need any arguments, but you still manage to mess it up. And this one is tricky because it fails silently. All right, now this one is really subtle, so pay close attention. On the left, we've got draw circles with parentheses, and it works great. On the right, we have draw circles without them, and that one fails.
The only difference is those two little parentheses. But that tiny, tiny change makes all the difference in the world.
And here's the part that trips everyone up. When you run the code without the parentheses, you don't even get an error message. The program just runs, it finishes, and nothing happens. Your circles are nowhere to be seen. It's like you walked up to a friend and just said the word pizza. You didn't say, hey, let's go get pizza. You just named a thing. You never actually asked them to do anything.
And this points to a simple but absolute unbreakable rule in Python. Those parentheses are the go button. They're what turn the name of a function into an action. Even if there are no arguments to put inside them, you have to include the empty parentheses to tell Python, hey, run this thing right now.
So we've cracked 3 different cases and found 3 major clues. Now let's put it all together into one simple golden rule. Or maybe a better way to think about it is a checklist you can run through every single time you use a function.
And here it is, your 3-step function checklist. It's super simple. Before you hit run, just do a quick mental check. 1, do I have the right number of arguments? 2, are they in the correct order? And 3, did I remember the parentheses to actually call the function? If you can say yes to all 3 of those, you're golden. Your code is going to work.
So from now on, when you see an error, don't panic. You're not a bad coder. You're a detective. You now have the skills to read the clues that Python gives you and solve the case. Seeing an error isn't a sign you failed. It's a sign that you're learning the rules of the game. So the only question left is, what rule are you ready to master next? Thanks for joining this explainer.